Great. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Tonight I'm going to talk about trends in mobile commerce, as he's already talked about. First of all, we'll talk about what we've seen so far over the last 17 years in e-commerce and where we see it going after that. And then what you can do, how it's going to continue to grow, and what you can do about it. So first of all, we looked at some U.S. Census data, probably the best data source out there to look at what's happening in trends. So the red line at the top shows total retail sales in trillions of dollars, USD. Yellow is offline and blue is online sales. First thing you probably notice is the recessions, very clear in the offline sales. Big dip after the dot-com bust, and then 2 years after the last recession. Other things we notice are the growth rates. Overall growth in retail has been 3% in the U.S., much lower in offline sales than online sales. Online sales growing at 16%. What about in terms of absolute dollars? So in absolute dollars, percent-wise, online has been growing quite steadily, but in absolute dollars, it only surpassed offline sales growth in 2015. 2016, it dipped a bit, but our projections show that from 2019 onwards, the majority of growth in e-commerce will come from online. Where's it at now? It's at 8% of retail, and we project that it'll hit 10% by 2020. So what you guys are really interested in is the blue line there, the e-commerce. So let's really dive into that and zoom in how that looks. As you can see, it's almost perfectly exponential at that 16%. You can notice the recessions there as well, but something really cool is it didn't dip. E-commerce continued to grow even during recessions. It was that robust. So it would have been still a good investment in e-commerce even during the recessions. Over the past 5 years, it's actually doubled. So really, really crazy growth. The question is, though, where is all this growth coming from, that 15, 16%? This is a quote from Demandware, one of the leading e-commerce platforms, saying that after digital, the biggest disruption to retail has been mobile. Here's a recent timeline of what we've seen in mobile. So in May 2015 was the first time Google saw more searches coming from mobile than from desktop. It was also the time that the largest retailers online saw more mobile traffic than desktop. So largest being over 100,000 visits per day. The medium-sized ones, so sort of 10,000 to 100,000 visits per day, they saw mobile surpassing desktop in March last year. And then even for the smaller retailers, by May of last year, they saw more traffic coming from mobile than desktop. This is a projection by Demandware as well. They show the actuals, and then they project forward about where they see traffic share going on mobile. And they show that 70% of traffic by the end of 2018 will be coming from mobile. So most people are going to be viewing your site on a very small device and using their fingers to navigate through it.
What do you think the driver is of tablet dropping off like that?
Great question. So we've seen, this doesn't go back too far, but tablet's been pretty flat over the last couple years as a share of traffic. Really, tablet tends to be something people use at home. Mobile tends to be something that people are using more on the go as well as at home. Does anyone else want to jump in on ideas on tablet? Yeah?
The only thing that I might add to that is, this is being expressed as a percentage. I'm not sure the tablet sales are actually declining or the tablet use is actually declining. I think that we may be seeing just more growth in other usage that's pushing it down. I couldn't confirm that. I did a little more research, but I think that might be the case.
Bigger screen, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing, right, is that phones are getting bigger screens and it's eating into the tablet use cases.
Still.
Yeah.
And more websites designed for mobile as well, so yeah, the benefit of tablets are going down.
For sure.
It's the same one.
Yeah. Cool. So we see a lot more traffic coming from mobile, but what about conversion rate? So this is sort of a conversion index Demandware came up with, which is the share of orders divided by share of traffic to see relatively is conversion going up on mobile compared to other devices. And they found that, yes, that is the case. So not only are people visiting your site more on mobile, when they do visit, they're actually more likely to purchase. Really cool. So question is, what are the current shares at? So looking at a few different sources, and they all tend to agree, about half of traffic now is coming from mobile. We talked about earlier across desktop, but it's because we have tablet in there that it's only hit 50% now. But orders are still not there. We're still at 30% of orders on mobile, and because average order value is still a bit lower on mobile than desktop, it's at a lower percentage. Just over a quarter of revenue is coming from mobile, whereas half of traffic is. So Demandware also did a projection to see where orders going to come from when they think that orders will surpass desktop orders, and they looked at about beginning of Q2 in 2018. This projection was made almost a year ago, and it's looking at orders rather than revenue. So my team said, okay, let's look at our own customers and see where do we project it to actually intersect. And this is what we came up with here. So up until 2017, January 2017, that's actual data from our customers. After that, their projections. So we did some exponential smoothing there. You see some bumpiness because of the seasonality. Some months mobile is heavier, sometimes it's lighter. What we've plotted here are the medians. So that's half of our customers would be above that and half of our customers would be below that. Some interesting points here are when tablet intersected mobile, which actually didn't happen that long ago. Other interesting point is when mobile will intersect desktop. So we project it for the end of this year for about half of people, they're going to be equal. And they might fight each other for a few months. But then by Q2, most companies will see that mobile is ahead of desktop in terms of revenue. So really interesting there. Just to make it a little more complicated, we put some quartiles on there. So you can see where 75% of customers or sites would see mobile revenue above and 25%. So you can see by the end, even the laggards, 75% of mobile traffic we figure by the end of 2020. So 75% of sites would see most of their mobile revenue coming from desktop. So this is projecting out. I'm going to stop right here for questions. I'm going to get into why we've seen this trend and why we expect it to continue. But are there any questions right now? Yeah.
I'd love to see this split up by industry segment. Like, for example, retail, like casual retail, like grocery stores or coffee shops versus clothing retail versus maybe even health practitioners. It's going to be quite different, right?
Yeah, for sure. So this is looking at sort of enterprise e-commerce retail customers of ours.
So is it B2C still, or is it B2B?
Yeah, B2C in the U.S. Great question. Yeah.
And then I'm assuming this is only shipped.
Sorry,
This is only shipped revenue. So this is not click and collect. It's not like if you're using a Starbucks app to pay.
Yeah.
Things like that. This is only shipped.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big is the traffic set? What is the number?
Good question. So we don't have a ton of customers in there. We're only looking at 13, but they are quite large. And we also noticed that there wasn't a huge spread with them. We would love to add more data points to it in the future, for sure. Yeah.
Did you look at a data point for Google Pay and Apple Pay and how that influences the transition?
Yeah, so I'm going to get into that a bit later in the presentation. Great. Yeah, sorry.
Over here. So, like, I notice that we see more spread. Oh no, I guess that's natural that we see about the same amount of spread in the quartiles between desktop and mobile. So there's about the same amount of uncertainty as to where an individual retailer would fall. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Go back.
Okay.
Well, I think you had an interesting point there, because I think as well the market for individual retailers versus national retail groups is going to be very different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This is looking at quite a high level overall in the industry. But where a particular company will fall will really depend on their customer base and what their strategies are. So first of all, let's look at historically, why has mobile grown so fast? So if we go back, you can see that blue line all the way to where we are today has grown super fast. So where is that coming from? What are some of the factors? So one is screen size. Here's a chart looking at the number of phones that have shipped at a certain screen size. So in early 2017, most phones were 3 inches or smaller. By 2014, those had died out, being replaced by larger phones. Another way to look at this, you can really see it went from 3 inches to 5 inches by 2014. Putting in some more recent data, if you look before 2014, pretty much all the phones that shipped were under 5 inches. And if you look after 2016, most of the phones shipped are over 5 inches. So definite increase in screen size. No one's buying 3-inch phones anymore. But does that have a real effect on conversion? Answer is yes. Again, some research from Demand where they compared screen size with conversion rate, showing that people who have phones with larger screens end up purchasing more often. Another reason mobile has grown is speed. Phones have also gone faster and connections have gotten faster. Does this contribute to conversion at all? Answer again, yes. So a study from Amazon about 10 years ago, pretty old now, but really still holds. They actually slowed down their site for a short amount of time and found that for every 100 milliseconds they slowed down their site, conversion decreased by 1%. So really showing a causation there. There have been a ton of studies since then on correlation between conversion rate and speed. A lot of people don't want to slow down their site and lose revenue to show that, though. We did some of our own correlation in-house, the couple middle ones there, showing having a faster homepage and having a faster checkout really do help with conversion. The couple on the top there, where we're looking at correlations between conversion and page views, also shows when you view more pages, you end up purchasing more often as well. Another reason is optimize user experience. So before, in the old world, you would just have that desktop site on your mobile when you're looking to shop on mobile. As we continue, we're learning more and more best practices for mobile. What are the patterns people like to shop with? So there is an example of that. And finally, there's a shift to mobile culture. People are spending a lot more time on their phones. People have their phones with them all the time. It's kind of the go-to thing to do when you're waiting for someone in a restaurant, what have you. So a lot more screen time, a lot more people are comfortable doing things on their phone. Next question is, how will mobile continue to grow? So it's gone to that point, and what makes us think the trend will continue? What are still the factors that are stopping people from converting on mobile? Because mobile still converts quite a lot worse than desktop. So how do we get it there? This is some latest qualitative research that came out last month from eMarketer, where they looked at what are the top things. They asked people, what would make you purchase more often on mobile? And these were the top answers. You'll notice for the younger demographics, the main things were easier navigation and increased speed. For the older demographics, those things were one-click purchase and enhanced security. So I'm going to go through each of these blockers right now that are preventing people from purchasing even more often on mobile, and what you can do about that now in the short term, and what new technology is coming out to help mitigate some of these issues. So the first one's easier navigation. So why is easier navigation important, especially on mobile? You're getting really bite-sized chunks of time from people when you're waiting for the bus, when you're waiting in the restaurant. If people can navigate to the products that they want to see, they're more likely to buy. So, of course, things you can implement right now is really the user experience best practices that are already available. A great source to find those is the Baymard Institute. I put a link at the bottom there about what are the patterns, the design patterns that people really want to see on mobile. Another one's personalized content. So there's a quote by Google saying that 61% of smartphone users are more likely to buy from you if it's location specific. So if you know someone's in Vancouver, show them information about the Vancouver store. Show them information about Vancouver events. It can help them navigate to what they want to see. Bringing it a step further, you can bring in some third-party data. If you know that people are in Washington and it's currently raining, point them straight to the rain jackets. Versus if they're in New York and it's snowing, bring them to the winter jackets. Don't show winter jackets to people in temperate places, and don't give rain jackets to sunny places. So you already have access to this data. It's making sure you use it in a way that helps people navigate. The third thing, this is a new type of technology that's come out now that helps people navigate. You can use conversational commerce. So you can use chat, you can use Facebook Messenger to help people find the products they're looking for. So these kind of trends will help people navigate towards your products, help them buy more. The next thing that people said they would really like to improve is increase speed on the sites. So faster sites equal better conversion. Already talked about that. So how do we achieve that? One thing is through things you already know, making sure your images are optimized, all that kind of stuff. But there are a couple new technologies that have come out recently as well. So one is progressive web apps. So progressive web apps are essentially, it's a single page app, and it loads some of the stuff in the background so that it's super fast. I'll show you an example here. This is looking for the same product. The one on the left is Amazon, and it's not a progressive web app. The one on the right is a progressive web app. So you can see that you could even compete with Amazon on speed. Play this for you. So that's Crabtree and Evelyn on the right, and you can see how fast the pages load. Obviously, no one's going to buy something that fast, but the idea that you can navigate that quickly is pretty amazing. No one's going to get frustrated while waiting for something to load.
More partly distracted. Like they're not going to fly to fancy with something else because they're being prompted every time they make a move to another page.
Exactly, yeah. And how it loads, here's an example from Pure Formulas, one of our customers. You'll see those gray boxes, so it loads the rest of the content first and loads in the rest after the fact. You might have seen that on Facebook. It's pretty popular in native apps, and now it's come to the web. So those gray boxes and the breadcrumbs between the top navigation, yeah?
I think the contrast on the screen isn't high enough to be able to see the gray boxes.
Okay, this part here, I think the contrast is off, but there should be gray boxes there where it's still loading that part, but you still get this experience where you can actually do something on the page. You can see the product before the breadcrumbs loaded. I'm sure you've seen that on Facebook when your feed is refreshing. So you can do that in e-commerce now too. Here's an example. No, it's not loading. Hold on. This is a customer of ours, Pure Formulas. On the left was their old experience. It was already quite optimized for mobile, great mobile experience. On the right, we pretty much took the same UX and made it progressive. So you can see the difference in speed. I'm going to play them both for you. Try to play them at the same time. So play. Okay, there we go. So trying to do the same task. So the one on the right is the progressive one. So you can see how fast those pages are loading. And again, someone won't get distracted during it, waiting for things to load. The one on the left is still going, trying to do the things.
So does a coding framework for progressive or?
It uses React. So we did an A/B test with Pure Formulas. So they had their old experience and their new experience. The main difference was the speed, quite honestly. And when we ran the A/B test, we saw actually a 23% increase in revenue per visit. So huge gains from speed from going to progressive technology. 14% of that was from conversion, people buying, more likely to buy. And part of that was from people buying more things. In the conversion rate, half of that was getting to checkout more quickly, or more likely to get to checkout, and half of it was completing checkout more often. So gains across navigation and checkout. So really cool there. Another technology that is very new to the market is called AMP, Accelerated Mobile Pages. So I have a video here. Basically, maybe you've seen it already on your phone when you Google. It's very popular with publishers right now. eBay is one of the only e-commerce sites doing it so far. I'll hit play. You'll see that it says AMP in your search results, standing for Accelerated Mobile Pages. When you click it, it's actually loading a cached site on Google. So it's a very simplified version of a page that you've made specifically for Google. And it loads incredibly quickly. So you can see it again, versus that's their slow, or sorry, there you go. So it loads very quickly. Just played that. Here's an example of some of the types of pages you can do. So it's a bit limited in your code of what you can do. So you can't have filters, for example, on your product listings page. But the idea is as soon as this will load right away, you can click on something and it'll go to your main site. So your progressive web app can load in the background. So you get instant load on your first page and then instant load on all the rest as well. So you can
that be operating concurrently?
Yeah, you can operate them concurrently. AMP is only for basically Google search, so for your organic search. Yeah.
So you say for e-commerce, eBay is mostly the ones doing this. What is preventing a more widespread adoption for this for e-commerce?
Great question. It's brand new. So Mobify, we're just launching the Lancome USA site right now. And then we expect it to really take off, that most e-commerce will take it over. Hence why we're pretty optimistic that the trend will continue as new technology comes out. But if you want to try it out, search for articles. So things like New York Times, those kind of sites will be using AMP already. The third thing that people said were preventing them from purchasing more often on mobile was one-click purchase. I'm going to expand this to just having an easier checkout. So here's a stat from Internet Retailer. If you're more likely, if the checkout's streamlined, you're more likely to purchase. So what can you do now and what's there in the future? This is our own data showing mobile checkout, big drop-off between cart and checkout, big drop-off between checkout and order. Even bigger drop-offs if it's a luxury item, if it's more expensive. So the more expensive your item is, the harder people are going to have in checkout too. So some suggestions are having really good user experience. You want to streamline it as much as possible, make it easy for people. So one thing is, if you're getting people to log in, make sure you show the password by default. They can hide it if they want, but it's difficult to type on mobile compared to a desktop. So make it easy for them. Even better, offer guest checkout. A lot of people don't like to make an account. As you can see there, people are going to abandon if you force them to make an account. Other thing is show the steps. People want to know how long is this going to take? Where am I in this experience? It's not as obvious on a desktop, especially if you're scrolling. Again, you don't want to, people don't like to type all that much. So where you can streamline that, you really should to make it better. Here's an example of address. So you can just put in a few characters and then they can find what they're looking for. And this is all available to do right now. Shipping, if you offer free shipping, tell people at the beginning. If they're $5 away from shipping, they don't want to find out when they're ready to purchase. And same idea with auto card detect. You should be able to tell if it's a MasterCard or Visa. Don't have an extra drop down for them. As few as possible. There are also new payment options available. So on the right, we're looking at Apple Pay, which has recently become available for the web. There's also Android Pay. Chrome has just launched their web payments API as well. So that's what you're seeing on the left. And that if people have saved their information, they see your item, they go pay, yep, that's my address, that's my credit card, boom, done. That's about as streamlined as you can get, so really great. This is some more technology that's come out recently. Last year, interactive email. There's also push notifications that can be interactive as well. But what you're looking at right now is an email that someone could actually complete a purchase with an email. So say they abandoned their checkout. You can email them and they can complete it without leaving the email experience. So pretty cool. Same with push notifications, to be able to complete your purchase from a push notification. So this is some of the new technology that's coming out, making it easier and easier to purchase and complete your purchase on mobile. And then conversational commerce. This is another sort of new channel. So within chat, that they could say, hey, here's a product you might like, buy it now. And finally, enhanced security. So that was that last concern that people had. Those new web payment options can really help with that. If you don't have to give your credit card to the site, you don't have to worry about them stealing your information. If it's in Apple Pay, Apple has access to that. For your own checkout, it's important to say this is secure. People like to see that, especially that older demographic. For some reason, people don't feel as secure purchasing things on their phone, research has shown. So making it as secure as possible is super important for people. Yeah?
How are you communicating to those that, was it 45 and upwards generations were the most concerned about security, payment security? The difference between checking out through the page and Apple Pay, Google Pay, Android Pay, whatever other tools that are becoming available.
Sorry, what was the
How
question?
are you communicating that difference? Because I don't think they would easily understand the difference between I'm passing a token, so that website never got your credit card information, they got a token, versus you're entering your credit card information directly into that website.
Right, great question. So to use Apple Pay, you have to have Apple Pay set up, right? So they probably don't have that. It will probably take some time for people to adopt it. It's still pretty early days for Apple Pay and Chrome, Android Pay. The majority of people are still using regular checkout. So as people get used to it, they see other people using it, that'll become more common. I know for myself, I have all my info saved in Chrome, but I don't have Apple Pay yet. It'll take time for adoption. Yeah?
Where you are in the flow is also quite different. So you would normally have the security badges where card information is being entered. Apple Pay, you could trigger that even off of a product listing page and activate that Apple Pay flow. So like you could see that product in the grid form and choose to buy right there, for example, or you might buy from the product detail page directly. So you're actually, in many cases, you're preempting the standard checkout flow almost entirely with those badges. And from a UX perspective, it actually adds a lot of complexity to the checkout flows. Like if you're handling all of these different cases, and let's say that you also support PayPal and maybe some other payment options, you're actually in a little bit of the overwhelming situation for a lot of users. You have to be kind of careful about how you badge and where you put these things. You can do damage to your site as well.
Yeah.
The ongoing question around whether or not you have a mobile app or a mobile web. Do you see that changing?
Great question. So on Android phones, more of these things are available. On Apple, they haven't let users do all these things on the web yet. They have more of an interest in keeping people in apps. So right now, there are a lot more features that are app only on iPhones. However, though Android is becoming more and more popular for e-commerce, we find that it's still pretty iPhone heavy. About 2/3 is iPhone and 1/3 is Android, depending on your demographic. So it's interesting. As more things come to the web, it'll be easier and easier to purchase on web, maybe having less need for an app, but then more things will come to apps as well. Features go to native apps before they go to web. Yeah.
Are you seeing any of this device proximity authentication, the two-factor authentication with either watches or phones in your e-commerce data, and how
yeah.
it's going?
Great question. So we actually don't get any smart watch data in our analytics. So I haven't been able to analyze that. Yeah.
I think the two-factor authentication is an interesting trend. I think that particularly like when you're talking about the phone, just pushing your thumb down and it's done, that must be a game changer.
Yeah, so as people get more used to it, like people are unlocking their phones more with their thumbs, so people will start paying for things more with their thumbs and become easier and easier, for sure. It'll keep that trend going up. So those were the four main things that are keeping mobile conversion lower than desktop. And we can see that there are things you can do right now to mitigate that. And there's this new technology coming out that'll really escalate mobile conversion rates so that we can get to that level where most of your revenue is actually coming from mobile. Cool. So that's the presentation. Any other questions? All right. I will oh, sorry.
Quick one. This whole aspect of subscription-based e-commerce, where you're trying to get the customer to become a subscriber or a registered member, the Walmart, Costco kind of concept, getting that subscriber so that they can get in. Have you seen any movements by utilizing that subscriber-based clientele or subscriber-based model for the pay, so that people are using the mobile site or an app and just automatically being able to purchase for repeats and stuff, as opposed to Apple Pay or something?
I think that's a great idea. I'm sure people will be using that. I haven't seen it personally, but yeah, I'm sure it's one of those things that's very possible. So why aren't more people doing that? Same with notifications. Even if you're not subscribed, it could say, hey, you're low, you should be low on X. Just put your thumb on to reorder. Should be that easy, right?
Yeah.
It's possible right now, just it's still early days.
So it's still early.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any interesting stories on the push notifications and conversion to phone pays?
From what, sorry?
Push notifications, what is it called, Beacon and stuff like that. How that is influencing
Yeah.
e-commerce?
Great question. We haven't done too much with beacons at Mobify, but we do push notifications. So we see it as a great other channel that it actually converts quite a bit higher than email, because just think about, you pretty much look at most of your push notifications. Email, I don't know about you, but it kind of goes into another folder, right? So it doesn't convert as well. The only thing with push notifications, so for web push, which is fairly new and available, it's on desktop, Chrome, Firefox, and the other Safari, yeah, the other one. And then it's available on mobile and tablet, but Android only. The thing with that is you have to start gathering subscribers. So we'll see it take off more and more as subscriber lists increase. Just as when email started, you had to build your email list, you have to build your web push subscriber list as well.
We rolled out a cart abandonment push for the first customer late last year, and the response seems quite good. The audience size is small and growing. You do need to enroll people, and it's kind of a key difference between email. I mean, not that you should email people, but you can email people without getting their permission. You can't send anyone anything via push without getting them to opt in first.
It's not in Canada, right? I mean, even for email,
I mean, for email, you're not supposed to. You probably shouldn't, but it is technically possible. It's impossible to do that with push notifications. So you really need to get that enrollment.
And that push you can only do with an app or
no, so those browsers that Amanda spoke of earlier, those support web push. So you can opt into push notifications. You'll receive those even if your phone is off. Like, not if your phone is off, but if your phone's on lock screen, you don't have to have the browser open. They'll go to the system tray. They look and feel just like a native notification, but we don't have them in iOS Safari yet. Just a little bit of a gap.
Yeah.
Do you guys record So you see those trends kind of going up in e-commerce and then mobile.
Yeah.
How much is that, the big kind of for retail conglomerates, and then how much is like medium or small size retail? Do you synthesize that?
Yeah, great question. So the census data was everything in the U.S. When I showed this one here was our customers. So mostly enterprise, retail, e-commerce customers in the U.S. It's going to vary by sector.
And how much, I guess, is there a trend for more adoption quicker based on, I guess, like one click, more secure? Amazon has all your payments, all your shipping addresses. Do you see that adoption much faster on Amazon than your clients?
Good question. I'm not sure what the breakdown on Amazon is. Something you should definitely look into. But yeah, I'm not sure if they report that, but the mobile versus desktop. But
Right, I guess you'd have to get there too.
yeah.
Right.
But I hear they have a very high conversion rate, especially for Prime users. Amazon Prime, it's free shipping. It has your info. Yeah, I want that. Ship it. Yeah.
Do you know about push notification being a relatively new technology? How much is it used, and what's the adoption? So if you need opt-in, what's the conversion rate of people who opt in for getting those notifications?
Great question.
I guess I'm wondering to which extent push notification will become like email once you get through a threshold where you get no push notification every 2 minutes because you've opted in, and it kind of loses that novelty, or that it becomes annoying, like
Yeah.
too many emails.
Yeah, for sure. We find our average subscription rate is 2% for web push. We have one customer who actually gets more traffic and revenue from web push than email, because they've had it for a while and they send a lot of web push messages. They also get a lot of unsubscribes though, right? So there's that balance of you can send more messages and get more revenue, but then you're going to lose subscribers. So it's the balance. I mean, really the best thing to do is really segment and give people relevant information. Like I was talking about the weather. So if you can really know who's using this and use your data, you can give people relevant information about, you're probably interested in this product. Go to that one.
Wouldn't it be most logical then to tie the easiest way for e-commerce users to tie it into your wish list?
Yeah.
And push when the wish list item goes on sale or whatever it is. It's a lowest risk of loss, the highest possibility of conversion.
Yeah, and you'll probably have a higher opt-in rate too, because if people are like, yeah, I want this and I want to know when it's on sale. We have a customer, Carnival Cruises, and they implemented web push for their courtesy holds. So you can go onto their website, book a cruise without confirming it, and saying like, yeah, just hold it for 24 hours or 36 hours. And then we ask, okay, we'll send you push notifications if you want for when your hold is going to expire. They have about I forget the exact number, I think it's 28% opt-in rate. So really high, because it's relevant to people. They want to know that. So if you can make it relevant, it's very successful.
Well, you can mess around or like have some fun with offers, of course, in that time frame as well, right? So there's a whole new marketing opportunity. What you're going to do with push in a creative way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I see there's a lot of room for abuse in that, because you've asked specific permission to allow push notifications, and you've insinuated that it's only for this purpose.
Yeah.
But the browser doesn't know the difference. It just knows you've accepted push notifications from Carnival Cruises.
Yeah.
They could spam you with anything after that if they're misrepresenting.
Yeah, and it's the same with email, right? And now we see with email that you can say, send me emails about these specific types of offers and that kind of thing. So I see the same thing happening with web push as well, for sure.
That's what I was just referring to the anti-spam legislation again. So you get significant fines if you get caught the wrong side of that.
Yeah.
All the more reason to segment properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe it's a bit of a technical question, but is this related to you accept push notification from the domain? So you might not be able to segment the same way you're getting that you can do for newsletters. So you want offers, or you want this, you know, A, B, C, or D. But if you're blocking the push notifications, I guess my question is there can you for the same domain set different types of push notification where people may opt in or may not opt in?
Yeah, so you could have a preference section that you would set up. You would still accept it, I believe, for the whole domain,
Right,
but
exactly.
on the company side, you would say, okay, I'm only sending them the courtesy hold once because that's all they wanted, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Does Mobify track kind of like in-store pickup? It looks like that initial graph, it's like, you know, that $4 trillion versus $9 trillion to like 2025 for e-commerce. But that's shipped goods. But with, you know, click and collect or like Amazon Go,
Yeah.
is Mobify actively looking at that as also like a UX problem that can be solved and tracked in the same, I guess, like ways? Just like strictly converting and getting it shipped to your house.
Yeah, we don't do too much of that right now. We do have one customer where they've linked their inventory to that, so you can see, I'm interested in this dress, which location near me has that dress. So that's definitely possible.
Only one.
One of our customers right now who are using our store locators.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely something people should do. You have to have it set up on your side, though, that you're tracking your inventory by
Yeah.
a store level and put that in your e-commerce, right?
Absolutely.
So linking more of your data makes it all that much more powerful.
Yeah. And are they using like RFID chips? Maybe this is getting too deep, but like in terms of tracking inventory.
I'm not sure on the customer side, yeah. Cool, any other questions? Great, well, thank you guys so much. I'm going to be posting this on my LinkedIn after if you want a copy of the presentation. And thank you for filming as well. It'll be on YouTube. All right, thank you.